access to food is a challenge, prices as well.
Food shortages.
Food shortages.
Fertilizer prices have been very high.
It's just gone crazy.
In the U.S. and the world bracing for food shortages.
That right there, that is why we homestead. I'm Ben Cummings.
And I'm Nicole.
And this is Sawyer, and welcome to our homestead.
I take a step in a new direction. I wanna
Chicken, look out! Look out!
pack up a lovebirds of a feather. We don't gotta stay friends forever.
Good job acting.
He does love
We don't
that.
gotta stay friends
But your
forever.
pant legs are all pulled up. You're a mess, bud.
No.
With all that's gone on in the world the past few years, many people, including myself, find themselves preparing for the unknown. However, as gas prices and fertilizer prices skyrocket and the fear of bird flu affects the bird market, we're seeing equal rise in food cost.
$13 for a watermelon?
Last week, I had the opportunity to speak to some other Canadian homesteaders to see how price hikes and food shortages are affecting them in their area. Have you noticed any food shortages or like crazy price increases lately?
Certainly price increases. Every time you go, it seems to be going up.
I used to go to the grocery store and like buy some fresh stuff, just like, I don't need a real grocery. I just need like a few peppers and lettuce and stuff like that. And it would cost, I don't know, $75. And now I do the grocery for a week. It's like $350. And I'm like, man, my kids are still small. And I just did it yesterday and saw it on the floor. And I was like, wow, that's not that much.
The price of apples definitely went up per bag. I looked at the other week and the cauliflower was $8, but then 2 weeks we'd turn around and it was $1.88 on sale. So I have noticed over the winter, things like pastas and cereals have been spotty. Like you'll have a whole shelf full and then another time you go in and there'll be nothing. But as far as like, I haven't really seen it here that much, at least within like a 2-hour radius to us, I haven't seen it.
Pénurie, pas tellement. Ben oui, il y a moins de choses.
Because everyone's talking about food shortages, you can raise the prices and perhaps you're expecting them and you're kind of trying to get a jump on that. But I think it's a lot of supply and demand. So it's hard to say how much in reality has started and how much is just kind of preemptive raising the price.
I know I can grow these tomatoes and I know I have way too much of them. It actually drives me a little bit crazy how many tomatoes I have, but I'm thinking if I share these seedlings and afterwards I share the tomatoes, I can help not only these people, but help with the price itself. I mean, it's a tiny thing, but if these people don't go to the grocery store, buy the tomatoes like at a ridiculous price, well, we can do a little bit of our part to help these people, but also like help not encourage this massive amount of prices going up.
It's a challenge actually to find like tomatoes that we can grow in like 60, 70 days. That's another thing. Like when we started out was like, what can we grow in 60 to 70 days? But there is a lot of things if you're looking around. And I think, one of the things that I really like to teach people is like, instead of going to the grocery store or like Walmart for your seeds, like go to catalogs and online, because you can specifically choose things for your growing area and it'll make your life a lot easier.
As far as vegetables, we want to do a lot more this year than we have in the past. Certain vegetables, they just kind of go even if you mess them up. So like squash and zucchini and things like that. So finding different ways of using that will be important. Tomatoes, even like I've had very sickly tomato plants and they still produce a bunch of tomatoes. So that's a nice one. It's just a matter of getting the numbers. So we're trying to get a lot of them started, and they have been started, but we're losing some to a mouse that's down there. It's just taken off the tops of the seedlings, and I caught one mouse, but there's apparently more. So I'm pulling the shelving unit out and trying to set up traps around it. And again, we're trying to start 100 tomato plants and this mouse is making that difficult.
We don't really waste that much food, but I think I would be even more careful to not waste my broth or anything like that if I was really aware of where it comes from. I know where it comes from, but I've never done the process, so I think it just builds some kind of respect behind all this to do it yourself too.
One of the initial reasons that I started homesteading was to be able to learn that respect, to learn where my food comes from, that it was slaughtered humanely, that the animals were taken care of as they grew up and as they were raised. They were fed well and they were watered and they were just taken care of in general. Now, I don't know that Nicole and I are necessarily nervous about food shortages or price hikes. We're doing our best to be able to become self-sufficient. And from these conversations, that seems to be what a lot of other homesteaders or a lot of other people in general are doing as well. I know a lot of people are coming from Ontario to New Brunswick here to be able to start their own homesteads, to be able to rely on themselves, something that you can't really do in a city other than doing a small herb garden or maybe some small microgreens and things like that. So being able to grow your own food is not just a point of pride, it's becoming a point of necessity. And I think as homesteaders, what we're trying to do is just provide for our families and provide for our communities. Have you noticed price hikes or even shortages at the superstore or any of the grocery stores we go to?
It seems like every time I go to the grocery store, something is more expensive, and I don't just mean by a little bit, by a lot. So I've noticed like $5 hikes. I went to the grocery store the other day and watermelon was $13. What we're trying to do this year is to grow a lot of our own food. I've got some seedlings back there growing, and I'm hoping that I don't kill them this year like I did last year. But going forward, I would just like a complete lifestyle change and to rely less on grocery stores than we have in the past.
Our last frost date is generally around like June 10th to 15th. That's usually after that time I can put the sensitive stuff in the garden. But I always tell people pretty much from that time on until harvest time, I'm really busy because all you're focused on is getting stuff into the, preserved or getting it into the garden, and you turn around and you're taking it out again. But I love it. It sounds chaotic, but I love it.
This is the way that it was not that long ago. Everyone was kind of doing this stuff. But that's also what made it possible, is the fact that everyone was doing it. Neighbors could help each other out, and everyone's doing a little bit. And you have the same kind of chickens as, half of your community. So everyone can genetically pass stuff around. You only need 6 in that scenario. And you're kind of all set. And if you lose your rooster, you just go get one from your neighbor. Right now, everyone's an island. So if you want to keep a breed of chicken around in perpetuity, you need 3 groups of chickens that you keep all separate from each other, and logistics get difficult, and basically you have to do everything on a larger scale than you would have in the past. So it's not just like, oh well, this was easy, they did it a long time ago. They had some advantages that we no longer have.
Je sais pas c'est quoi la taille de mon jardin, mais on a une famille, il faut dire, de 2 adultes. C'est ça notre famille. On mange pas beaucoup de légumes comme tel cannés. Mm-hmm. Par contre, toutes nos sauces, sauce spaghetti, arrabbiata, salsa, on les canne toutes, puis tous les légumes, on congèle en général.
Now, although it may seem like it or sound like it, this video is in no way meant to be one of fear-mongering. It's more an encouragement. We want to encourage people to grow their own food, to develop community, to be able to do things like take care of bees and to be able to take care of chickens and to grow their own gardens, to learn to forage and to grow their own food, just in general, so that they can protect the sustainability of their communities. What I feel happens, and that I am as guilty of it as anyone else, is that we get so worried about our own lives, about what we got going on, and we don't really focus on the bigger picture. We get so busy with things that don't matter, and we don't really focus on the people and the acts of service and the little things like these dandelions that are technically edible, the things that you can forage, the things that here in the next little while, springtime is my favorite time of year, the things that will be growing up in the next few weeks and months that we can use to sustain ourselves and to sustain our families. What I feel that we've lost in large part in modern society is that we don't do things together. We try to rely on ourselves for everything. And again, I'm guilty of that. I want to have my own chickens and my own pigs and my own, but you can't do it all. I've been saying recently that back years ago, they would have the baker, the butcher, and the candlestick maker. And that is still true today, that we need those people. We need that community. We need to do more together so that we can all benefit and we can all move forward. Now, is that easy? Of course not. There's going to be a lot of work that goes in, and sometimes it'll be for naught. You'll kill your plants, maybe even your animals may die or a predator might take them, but it's a point of pride to be able to go hunting and to feed your family with that which you hunted, which you gathered, which you foraged, or which you grew. And that, I think, as homesteaders, is what we should be more worried about than food shortages or price hikes, is that we should be worried about what we going on. What am I trying to say? We should be worried more about what we have going on, what we're able to do, and what we're able to control. So keep that in mind as you're getting worried, as things might be getting a little more expensive.
I would love to hear your thoughts. Should we be worried about shortages, price hikes, or should we focus more on what we can control and what we can grow? As always, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe to our channel. We appreciate it more than you know, and as always, thank you for watching.